about processing card transactions the simple way, rediscovering the data models that build delight features in your neobanking products. Who am I? I'm Mike Parsons. I'm the CTO of Twist. We're actually a ledger database company. And my background is I was one of the staff engineers at simple.com. Did a bunch of stuff there, built an issuer processor, helped build the goals system, build all of our accounting systems, ended up going to BBVA and helping launch the first banking as a service platform. And way before that, I was also at Seamless, so helped a lot of people on the East Coast with their food needs during the pandemic. So I want to talk about accounting systems today, but I want to talk about it in the sense that we all have a reverence for, as builders, as engineers, as product people, for the accounting system. It has to be right. It's the core of the system. The numbers need to be accurate. So we need a ledger. We need journals and entries and debits and credits and accounts. And we need to reconcile it with all these payment methods that we're processing. And if something goes wrong, we need to be able to respond quickly and fix it. And that's like the almost religious experience that we have with ledgers. And it's like the standard line, the standard pitch about ledgers. But what I want to talk about today is something slightly different. And that is, how do we build delight features once you have this solid foundation? And what I mean by delight features, there's things like being able to save for expenses or things you actually want in your life, like a vacation or an Apple Watch or something nice. How do we give users confidence in their money, how much they can spend? The tagline at Simple was safe to spend with the trademark, so I left it in there. And then finally, how do you let users spend their money confidently by picking which pocket to take the money from? And so we'll spend a little bit talking about the two key parts of the accounting system that allow us to achieve this. We'll do it through the lens of, through the simple feature of goals, rest in peace. And this was a feature that our users absolutely loved. The ability to do an automated envelope budgeting system was the best part of the product. Tons of people hours went into it, thinking about how do people manage their money on the internet with an application in their pocket. And we spent significant amounts of time getting the numbers right. The first incarnation of the system was, it's a service, and when you look at the goals feature, it's subtracting from the balance and telling you what it should be. And the numbers are always wrong. Iteration 2, we figured out, you need a ledger. So it had its own ledger, and it would add up with the balance from the core system. The numbers are wrong. The third time we did it, we put all the features inside the core accounting system. The numbers are always right. So let's talk about the parts of the accounting system that makes this possible. There's two key features of the accounting system. One is the chart of accounts. The chart of accounts is a tree structure that rolls up balances from the very bottom nodes up to the very top nodes. The accountants in the room know about assets and liabilities and equity and all that. But in a product accounting system, the most important part is the liabilities, and it's the customer's account for debit products. The second key thing is layered accounting, and that tells us what numbers in the accounting system, what they mean. Is this a settled transaction? Is this a pending transaction, et cetera? And how do you take these models, these two pieces of financial infrastructure, and allow you to build interesting things that work at scale? So we start with the chart of accounts, and at Simple, the chart of accounts looks roughly like this. I had Visa in at first, Mark, but a last minute edit to MasterCard. As you can see, a DDA, that's a demand deposit account. So that's all the accounts. Then there's a particular 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then under that, it might have goals, an emergency fund, an Apple Watch, or expenses, my mortgage or my electric bill. And the balances in this chart of accounts roll from the child up to the parent. And that's a key feature that we want to take advantage of. So if we look at a particular instance of it in a very basic way, looking at balances, you can see at the very bottom, we have a $1,000 emergency fund, Apple Watch fund in progress. I wish they were $125. A mortgage for $2,000. You have to move out to the country to get that. Electric bill, and those roll up. And what you'll notice at the top level account says 5,000. And I'm checking my math, and 1125 and 2090 doesn't equal 5,000. So we're missing a piece of the puzzle. There's money inside that account that's not in a goal or in an expense. So we're close, but it's not telling us what's safe to spend. So how do we make that top level balance say 1785? That's the key question for us, and that's where layers come in. And you've seen layers before. Anytime you print an ATM receipt, they tell you two numbers typically: an account balance, which is the actual amount of money you have in your account, and an available balance, which is the amount that the bank is willing to validate card transactions against. There's also a third layer that is not well known. It's called the encumbrance layer. And that contains expected, planned future transactions. And that's the key feature that we want to use to power that safe to spend feature. So if we go look at the same chart of account, well, let's talk about layered balances first. Why are they called layered balances? Think of it like the ocean. You're diving in at the top with settled balances. You're going down to the pending layer, and then you go real deep for the encumbrance layer, where all the interesting things are, like jellyfish that glow in the dark. This is where the magic happens. If we look at that chart of accounts, incorporating those balances, and we threw in a T-chart there just for funsies, we can see on the left side there's debits, an encumbrance debit balance of 3215, credits on the sub accounts that add up to that amount, and then credits on the right-hand side of $5,000. If you look over on the bolded number, the encumbrance balance is 1785. That's your safe to spend. So that's what we displayed in the app. That's what we put in our core accounting system. We had a trackable number for our key product feature. So the encumbrance balance is the safe to spend. But there's other delight features. I think the spiritual successor to Simple is One Financial. They have an envelope budgeting system, and they have a feature called pockets. What pockets are is essentially being able to switch pockets for whatever the funds come out of. I don't know how One is doing it. I know a lot of Simple alumni are there, but the way we would have done it at Simple is we would have used the encumbrance layer. To pick a pocket, we choose an account and use its encumbrance balance. So in this case, we go and there's an emergency. We got to go fix our car. We can switch our pocket to our emergency fund and spend money out of our $1,000 balance. And that way we can power the core product feature using our core systems. And that helps bring the accounting system up into the product. Instead of being this thing that we dread, something that we rely on and use to power all of our systems. So what happens when you don't use these types of things? Well, we learned that the hard way at Simple. The numbers were wrong a lot. You reinvent accounting and you build ledgers for every product feature. I know Remitly is similar to Simple in that we used services-oriented architecture. We had eight or nine ledgers before we consolidated onto one. Calculating balances ad hoc versus deriving them through structured ledger entries using materialized views, using good data engineering techniques. And then finally, what we can do, what happens is you start to misclassify fundamental flaws with your accounting approach as reconciliation issues. And so you get an organization can get mired in like trying to solve this reconciliation problem. The problem usually isn't the reconciliation. It's the homegrown ledger or the 6 or 7 homegrown ledgers that you've made. So that's what I'm passionate about stopping. At Twist, we build a ledger system. We have layers and charts of accounts. We have tran codes. How do we get entries into the database that balance and follow the rules and charge fees and do all the things that you want it to do? Financial workflows to interact with the real world. Card processing, ISO 8583 protocols, ACH protocols. How do you turn those into ledgers entries? How do you translate the ledger entries into those protocols? And so many other capabilities. And I'd encourage you all to check it out at twist.com/docs. And I'd love to help you build your next delight feature. Thank you. Any questions?
All right, questions for Mike.